This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
It's going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Mailbag. This is the WWE Podcast on this 21st day of March 2025. We're going to go through all the emails. I think a voicemail or two might sneak in there as we roll towards WrestleMania, now officially less than a month away. Just barely, but just under a month, incredibly. And we've got a lot more build to come, a lot more memorable moments, I'm sure, between Cena and Rock and what that eventually looks like. How can they revive the World Championship storyline that has otherwise been kind of boring? Same goes for the women's side of things with Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte. Really, both Rumble winners have not exactly had the most exciting build to their matches at WrestleMania. It has maybe been the single least exciting build collectively for both the men and women since the women have had the Royal Rumble. So not exactly exciting, not really rant-worthy or anything, just kind of ho-hum. The fans see what's going to happen here. Most likely Jay wins. Most likely Tiffany Stratton retains. Most likely, I say. Of course, those could be reversed. But either way, no matter who wins or loses, it's really just kind of been just a matter of fact. And the other matches that aren't championship matches seem to have the most attention. Outside, of course, of John Cena and Cody, which I'm sure a lot of the conversation will be directed to tonight, will be John Cena and Cody Rhodes, and John Cena's first ever career, at least since he's Doctor of Thugonomics back in 0203. This is the first true heel promo that he's cut ever. So I'm sure that'll be the most talked about topic tonight. But first, I'd like to welcome all of you who are on Patreon. Those of you who are on Patreon do get the priority placement in the mailbag right up front. And I want to welcome a brand new member to the team. And it is, I'm going to kill this name. And the person, I'm sure whoever this is will probably leave our little family here because I can't pronounce anything. And Gare Miranda Galvin. So Gur or Gare, probably Gur. Welcome anyway. And I guess thanks for joining. All right, let's dive into the mailbag. We're going to start with James. James from Glasgow. He says, I thought John Cena's promo was fantastic. The crowd absolutely hates him, and he's feeding off of it. I'll still cheer when his music hits, as I love a heel. Can't wait to see him on Monday. I also think we'll see Joe Hendry, which will be a pop of the night by far, being announced as Jay's mystery partner, with it being in Glasgow. Yeah, definitely. Most people are expecting it to be Joe Hendry, and why not? See, John Cena's run, whether it's as a heel or a babyface, for the next 8 to 9 months to finish out his career, should not just be these fun, nostalgic matches and dream matches, which we'll get many of. I'm sure we haven't even seen the tip of it yet with Randy Orton lurking out there, CM Punk lurking out there for a one-on-one, maybe. Although I would say Roman Reigns, but we've kind of been down that road before. So there's some out there, but what about the new stars? It should also be about the new stars and helping build that next generation, and that's what he can do here, especially with a guy like Joe Hendry. So absolutely, and that'll presumably be a massive pop. I feel the triple threat matches are being overbooked on both shows in the past few months, and I really don't want to see another 2 minimum at WrestleMania. Can we not just have Rollins versus Reigns and Bianca versus Rhea? Adding Punk to the men's doesn't make much sense. I've been down this road too, James. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. It seems to be overbooked, or at least maybe they don't know what to do with Punk if he's not, in this matchup. I would argue it actually makes more sense to put him in the John Cena and Cody Rhodes matchup if you're going to put him in a triple threat, rather than a meaningless triple threat, presumably with Rollins and Reigns. But as I've said, Rollins and Reigns solo is a way better story than adding Punk. I understand Punk's a big star, in some circles or in some schools of thought, even a household name. But I still believe having Punk in that rivalry muddies the whole story because it's about Rollins and Reigns. The story goes back to Rollins and Reigns, not Punk and Rollins and Reigns. Yes, there's history with Punk and Rollins and Punk and Roman, but those can be explored separately. You're doing the story an injustice by adding another star that has no business at this time being involved. Again, nothing's official, so it seems they're heading that direction, but with Triple H, you never know what the hell's going to happen. He does tend to draw you one way, only to pull the rug out, and all of a sudden we're going another way. And you know that if he cashes in, Punk that is, cashes in his favor from Heyman, it's not going to be for a triple threat. He can do that on his own. It's got to be for a world championship opportunity against Cody or against John Cena. Maybe he doesn't cash in his favor until after WrestleMania. I think that's actually probably the way to go. Cash in. If you're not going to put him in a triple threat with Cody and John, then you're going to put him in a matchup with John Cena versus CM Punk one-on-one. And he might wait till after WrestleMania. There's no need to cash it in before. We'll see. All right. So Aleister Black was recently released by AEW. I hope we get to see him back in WWE. He was underused and had a great best of 7 match against Buddy Murphy. Yes, totally agree. No, this email is not too long. You say you also recommend timing it in for an ICW pay-per-view, which they tend to hold once a month, similar to WWE. There's also loads of bars and shops around. If you do come to Glasgow, reach out and we can grab a few beers. Definitely. Hey, I would love to go. I would love to go to Scotland. I mean, there's the scenery there, which is what draws most of us from North America, is just incredible. Now, I know that's not the entire landscape. There are some cities and so forth and towns, but the general perception from those in North America is it's just this beautiful, lush green landscape. And there's a lot of that, but I don't know how I'm ever going to get out there, but if I ever do, James, I'll definitely reach out. I'm a bit offended that you're limiting us to just a few beers. I do take personal offense to that, because if I'm flying that far and spending that much money to go to Scotland, a few will be the baseline of where I will always be. Like my BAC will be at a few. That's my homeostasis if I'm going that far, if you catch my drift. But anyway, yeah, that's a good point with Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. I forgot about that. Their best of 7 was just incredible. I totally agree. Many people don't remember that. And was that during or close to COVID? I think it was. It was around that time. But it was totally, you want to watch some pure, just professional wrestling. That is a great set of matches to watch. So, all right. One more thing that I want to talk about before I go on to the next email, and I'll get DJ next. I want to comment quickly on the latest topic before the news cycle switches over, which it does about every 3.5 seconds, is the Jon Moxley Edge street fight. And if you haven't seen it, viewer beware. Viewer discretion advised. Because the one spot, and this is all everyone's talking about, and with good reason. If you haven't seen it, again, be very. If you're squeamish or if you have kids, I would not let them watch this. During the street fight, there was a wood stick with nails, real nails, although thick, real nails, out, poking out of it, and there was a spot where Edge, Adam Copeland, does a suplex with Jon Moxley onto that nail-ridden wood plank, whatever it was. And oh my God. I've seen so much stuff in wrestling, as anybody has who's been watching a significant amount of time. We've seen some crazy stuff. Mick Foley falling off the cage, through the cage during his match with Triple H for his retirement. We've seen flaming tables. We've seen thumbtacks. We've seen flaming flaming, even barbed wire bats. We've seen inferno matches. But this was a new kind of brutality that I don't think was needed. Now, whether or not Moxley and Edge would agree with that statement, that it's not needed. Oh, what do you mean it's not needed? They've accomplished what they set out to accomplish, which is everyone talking about it. You're hearing me talk about it. It gets attention back on the product that desperately needs attention right now. Desperately. Their attendance is not in a good place. They had to scale back the events or the arenas, the venues, I should say, that they were booking because they were getting embarrassingly low attendance. And I'm not wishing for the death of AEW. In fact, I hope they thrive. But they're trying to get attention any way they can. And it feels like a desperation move. And I hope it brings attention to them. But I also fear for the safety of Jon Moxley himself. Like, those nails did not look clean. I mean, he tore the flesh off of him. Also, those nails go into your spine. And guess what's right there? Your spinal cord. Your spine has no protection other than that bone that's right there. And the nails were right there. Infections are at high risk. Unnecessary. I don't need that from wrestling. And that's a turn off for me when it gets to that level where the safety is clearly being put on the back burner for simple attention. I respect him for doing it. I understand why he did it because everyone's talking about it. And for that, I understand he's doing what he feels is best for him and for the company to get attention. But even if that's the overarching goal, and it does get a quick little boost, in clicks on YouTube, and it's getting a ton of views and comments. It's all over TikTok and YouTube, and you name your social media platform, it's there. It's getting a lot of that attention. But what I would also argue is, even though you're setting out to achieve that goal and you have of getting attention and more eyeballs, it's not going to last long. That's not a long-term good strategy for getting people to, either come back to or start to watch AEW. It may get a quick interest of like, oh my God. But I don't think many people are thinking to themselves, wow, this is awesome. I want to watch this every single week. This is a great company that I can see getting behind and watching this every week. It's not going to bring in long-term viewers, which is ultimately the lifeblood of any organization, is long-term consumers, brand loyalty. I don't think it's going to achieve that. So you're getting a quick spike, a quick conversation piece. And I respect him for that. He's doing what I'm not crapping on him for it, but I don't think it's going to have the long-term effect he thinks it is. And I think it's if I were to make the call, I wouldn't have had that spot happen at all. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about the Jon Moxley spot with Edge. I know this is the WWE podcast, but look, this is a news story that is overlapping with WWE viewers, and I wanted to talk about it. Again, if you're squeamish, don't watch the clip. All right, it's like a car crash you can't unsee. What do the people look like inside? Can't unsee that. So anyway, let's go to DJ. And he says, I think I got it. What everybody's been talking about and speculating about this potential triple threat of Roman, Punk, and Rollins for WrestleMania 41. After this, I will not talk about this potential triple threat again until either it happens at WrestleMania or Backlash. I'm not going to say WrestleMania Backlash. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Anyway, here's my idea. What if this potential triple threat at Mania becomes a number one contenders match for the Cody's Undisputed Championship? Since Punk didn't win the Chamber, how about he wins the triple threat on night one and then be included in the championship match against Cody and Cena for night two? Yes, I know going from one triple threat to another triple threat is a bit much, but it's WrestleMania and Punk still has a bone to pick with Cena. I totally agree. I don't, there are so many ways to go. There's not a single right way. That is the only way. That option doesn't exist. There's a lot of really good options. And this is one of them. This is one of, I think, probably a dozen things you could do that are good at WrestleMania. Now, this option, though, is it the best? Well, that's always subjective, but here's the drawbacks of that. if you're going to make a triple threat where the winner of that particular matchup faces or gets injected into the championship match the following night, once again, you're muddying the water a little bit with the Cody Cena story that has been singularly Cody versus Cena and the turn of Cena on Cody. And there's a good story to tell with just those two without a third person coming in. So there's the muddying of the water if you like singular stories and not a third wheel. Secondly, you're also presumably going to be clogging up both main events for WrestleMania. If you care about this kind of thing, and a lot of people do, perception of this storyline taking over all main events for the second year in a row would sit poorly with some people. Maybe the fans, maybe I'm sure a lot of the guys and gals backstage would be like, oh my God. Because now you're having, just like last year with the tag team match with The Rock and Roman, with what happened with Cody last year, and he had to win that to get rid of Bloodline rules, but he lost, so Bloodline rules applied, which followed into night 2. Now you're going to do the same thing again, different story, but same kind of premise, where the winner of that has an effect on night 2. And that obviously would be a main event for night 1. So, I mean, I guess you don't have to make it the main event, but if it's that important and you have 3 big stars like that, they probably would make it the main event over Jay versus Gunther. Because, as I said, let's be honest, Gunther and Jay has been extremely boring. It needs a shot in the arm in a big way. I don't think it's deserving of the main event. I understand it's the world title, and I am a big fan of adding value to world titles to make them important. But in this case, the story has been, just as I said, just blasé. Now, the other thing I would say while I'm on it, because you reminded me of it, and I wanted to say this. When Cody Rhodes came out on Raw and he confronted John Cena, and he, the pretty much the money line was, I don't want to talk to this whiny witch. Again, PG guys can't say it here, but if you know what I mean. That's fine, and it was a memorable line, and I think he did a good job. But what my concern is, he comes out, Cody Rhodes that is, on Raw prior to this, and he ends up giving a crossroads to The Miz, unprovoked, and yet John Cena, the last time he saw him, gives him a black eye. Well, no, it was Travis Scott who gave him a black eye. He ends up giving him a low blow, kicking him in the nuts, bloodying him, beating him down, humiliating him, and he doesn't just attack John Cena, yet he attacks The Miz, and all he's got is words for John Cena. So while I do think that segment was very strong, there is a bit of a disconnect there, where it's like, hey, Cody, what does someone have to do to you? What more could they do to you to have you just come out and not talk, just try to beat his ass? Now, Cody's very skilled on the mic. We wanted to see that interaction, but there was nothing. I mean, you could have had at that point, not a pull apart brawl, but somebody holding back Cody, nobody holding back John Cena. You could have had something like that. And it just made no sense that Cody just had the restraint to go, yeah, I don't want to wrestle you. I want to wrestle the guy that's on your shirt, and see ya. Like, what? What do you mean? Did he not just whip your ass in front of millions of people in the most viewed WWE YouTube clip of all time? And I don't know. It's just a bit of a disconnect on that front. Okay, let's continue with DJ here. I was recently watching on Thursday the incredible 3 Stages of Hell match from No Way Out 2001 of Triple H versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, and it got me thinking, how about if WWE brings this concept back in 2025? And how fitting would it be if the potential Jacob Fatu Braun Strowman match at WrestleMania becomes the 3 Stages of Hell match? I'm surprised that WWE doesn't use this concept for McIntyre and Punk last year. Anyway, back to Fatu and Strowman with the potential 3 Stages of Hell. This could be how the feud comes to an end, with Jacob Fatu moving on to contend for the U.S. title, or even possibly winning this year's Money in the Bank. The first match of the 3 Stages of Hell could be a regular match. The second could be a no DQ, a street fight, and the third could be a cell match, Hell in a Cell match. Just a thought to marinate on, as I enjoyed watching Triple H and Austin's 3 Stages of Hell at No Way Out 2001. Now, DJ, this is one of my favorite matches of all time. I don't really ever talk about it too much, And it is that is, I would highly recommend, even if some of you weren't even born then, but if you weren't a wrestling fan back then and you missed this, totally worth this match was probably 40 minutes, however long it was between Austin and Triple H, because it was so well done. The build was impeccably done. They couldn't touch each other prior to a match, or Austin would never get a championship match again, and Triple H would be suspended for 6 months. It was just a great build. Austin stuns Stephanie, and then Triple H breaks the arm of JR. Just brilliant. And I loved this match. I know this isn't really about the No Way Out 2001, which is incredibly nearly a quarter of a century ago. Wow. But I don't mind that format being brought back. I really don't. Is it worthy of Strowman and Fatu? Sure it is. It may not be, or it may be, but the only problem I have with this format just as a concept is 99% of the time, you know that it's going to go 3. You know, I've seen it where it goes 2. It might have been even in a different promotion where, one person wins back-to-back matches and then the third match is irrelevant, but it kind of takes a little bit of the fun out of it, knowing, okay, one's going to win one, the next one's going to win the next one, the other opponent's going to win the next one, so we have to get to a third one. Yeah, so it's like the first 2 matches are just kind of formality to get to the third match that is going to happen, no matter what. So, yeah, that's I don't mind it. Generally, I don't mind it. All right, John Cena's promo from Monday was different than I expected. He delivered it from a victim's point of view by saying he's tired of the punchlines and you can't see me jokes. If you haven't noticed Cena's posts on Instagram, one of them prior to this episode had a picture of the Joker from 1960s Batman, starring Adam West. The victim approach that Cena was conveying, in my opinion, was similar to the Joker character that Joaquin Phoenix played in the Joker film from 2019. If you ever saw that movie, the seeds being planted for the Joker to become the villain or anti-hero came from the moments that he was insulted, being a running punchline, and figuratively being beat down by society. I kind of felt sorry for the Joker in that movie, and I think that was what Cena was trying to convey in his promo. Hence the connection to the Joker post on Instagram, with Cena getting the last laugh on the WWE fans. Plus, Cena said, "I'm not a babyface, I'm not a heel, I'm a human," was a bit slighted. And he said that babyface and heel, but I think Cena wants this proposed final run in WWE to be memorable and wants us to interpret it whichever way we want to think and feel. Whether you love this or hate it, or you're just indifferent, like that kid wearing the Cena gear in Brussels, Belgium. The main thing to me is that Cena wants to go all out on his terms, even if he has to get the people feeling negative about him. As a babyface, to me, there's this invisible ceiling that a character can reach, and then after that, where does he or she go from there? The answer is downward, to the dark side. And I guess you can say more authentic, on a more authentic side of the character. This is where Cena is right now, and I can't wait to see what's next for him as the road for WrestleMania 41 continues. So, yeah, no, look, DJ, you kind of hit it on the head here. I mean, that's a great observation about the Joker post from Cena on Instagram. I didn't even notice. Again, you guys pay attention to this stuff way more than I do, so that's awesome. And it's actually quite amazing that John Cena was able to go as long as he did as a babyface with most of, not all, of course, with the Cena sucks, John Cena, let's go Cena chants, but the majority of fans cheering for Cena and having them not organically all turn on him. And that, to me, is impressive. I think a lot of those that booed him, like myself, I never enjoyed his babyface character, always respected the hell out of him and thought he was one of the best promos I've ever seen. Still do. But I always despised his babyface character a lot of the ways that I despise Cody's, where it's too wholesome. It was strikingly different from the Austin and Rock and Brock Lesnar that had preceded him. It went from attitude to ruthless aggression to kind of a child product, a children's product with this, jorts wearing, chain gang loving, soft, clean shaven baby face that I couldn't resonate with. It went from literally a TV 14 to TV PG. And I despised that. And he was the face of that. And his character was perfectly suited for that change. And I don't fault WWE for it. It was the totally correct strategic decision to build your next generation of fans, because you're not going to have kids, at least the size of the audience of kids, being able to watch your product if it's still got a lot of sex and blood and guts in it. Because you have parents who, if you're a good parent, shielding your children from that stuff. So they're not going to watch it. So it's a smart decision. Totally. But I despised him for that. And it never resonated with me. But most of the fans, I'd say 60% of them, 70%, and any given crowd were supportive of him. And that's quite an accomplishment. Thank you, DJ. All right, we got in-person notes. I wanted to get to this. We've got more, but we've got some in-person notes here from Monday Night Raw in Brussels. So this is from Marie. So thank you, first of all, so much for taking the time to write this. I really do appreciate it, because I know that this is, it can be, sometimes when you're going to an event to know that you're going to maybe be reporting on it, you're not so much being present as you are going, oh, I should probably note that in the show or note this in the show. And so I do appreciate you taking the time to do this, first of all. So Marie says, I'm one of those listeners who don't have any wrestling fan friends. So thank you for keeping me company on the regular. I unironically enjoy Matt's rants and tangents. Well, you may be in the minority on that, but I'm glad I can keep you company. And it can be a lonely feeling. I've been there. I continue to be there in a lot of ways where, as a wrestling fan, you, at least in your circle of immediate friends that you had prior to wrestling, most of them probably don't watch wrestling, do they? Most. And when you find that group that does, or single person or two that does, you instantly form a connection, because it's a kind of a unique thing to like. And so I'm glad I can keep you company even from a distance of thousands of miles away. Okay, so Marie attended Raw in Brussels, and she says, I'm going to try to tell you about what I would like to hear about if the roles were reversed. I'm going to amalgamate. Wow. Boy, I need to up my vocabulary if I'm not going to embarrass myself on the show. So you'd like to amalgamate, I think that's how I say it. I actually had to, with the magic of pre-recording, I Googled how to pronounce this word. See, that's a little behind the scenes embarrassing footnote. I had to Google how to pronounce this word. Well, there you go. All right. So, yeah, you got some real high IQ person hosting the show here, don't you? All right. So I'm going to amalgamate Belgians with Frenchies because we're similar in this context. So here's the demographics of who were there. Predominantly millennial white males. Yay. Oh, I'm only saying yay because that's me. Wrestling fans are less racially diverse in Europe than in America. I was the only unaccompanied lady I saw. Lots of metalheads. There's a clear overlap between these two fandoms, and it makes sense to me. Oh, well, see, you gotta, what you should do, there should be like an app, not for dating, but a dating style app where you can locate other fans of wrestling near you. You know what I mean? Like you create a profile and, you know, your location, keep your location on, and then you can, within your local area, locate other wrestling fans to attend shows with, or just talk wrestling. That should be a thing. All right. Pre-show, Zoe Stark takes down Natalya. The War Raiders retained against Alpha Academy. Post-show, Cody Rhodes defeated Dominic Mysterio. See, that's the stuff nobody would ever know. Thank you. Fan opinions, homogenous, except for Kaiser, who got a very divided crowd reaction. I seem to be the only one who's skeptical of the prodigal son, such as Cody Rhodes and Punk. Kaiser, it's interesting you tell me Kaiser got a split reaction. I think fans at some point are about to, or will gravitate behind Kaiser, because Kaiser got something. And while he doesn't ever really seemingly win on Raw, and if he does, it's one win and then 5 losses in a row, I think there's something there that the fans are eventually going to get behind. And they're close with Kaiser, and the fans can sense it, which is why I think there's a mixed reaction for a guy like him. So the crowd energy. French crowds do go into business for themselves. I didn't hear a single word of Kaiser's promo. After last night, I've concluded that the perfect French crowd is a tired French crowd. We lost some energy halfway through the show and picked it up again at the backstage brawl between Rhea, Bianca, and Io. That's embarrassing for North American crowds, I have to say, because your tired French crowd is louder than our energetic American crowd on average. That's embarrassing. I'm embarrassed just on behalf of our continent, or at least just the United States. Maybe not all of North America, but I can speak for the United States that's just embarrassing for us. Loudest pop, Rhea, as far as I can remember. Yeah, I mean, it came across on TV. I mean, I don't know if I would have put her at 1, but she was in the top 3. So that's cool to hear that she got number 1, in, at least from your perspective, in person. So some miscellaneous stuff. Corey Graves and Finn Balor got a loud babyface type pop. Falling off the apron looks a lot more brutal in real life than on TV. The drones hiss very loudly, like water sprinklers. So before I go to your last point here, that's a fun point to bring up, that the falling off the apron looks worse in real life than on camera. I don't know why that is, and I would concur with that. It's nothing I would have ever said on this show because it's something that I just kind of was a thought buried in my mind. But I mean, I've attended dozens of shows before, and it is something that now that I think about it, it's a great observation. And as far as the drones go, yeah, I saw them flying over and I'm thinking to myself, it can't be. I actually thought, no, it can't be that loud because the crowd themselves are drowning everything out. But if it was that loud, I mean, geez. Yeah, that's quite impressive. So the crowd was confused about Austin Theory. We sang along the whole song when I saw him in Paris 2 years ago, but last night we didn't know how to react. Yeah, that's interesting because certainly with Austin Theory, he has gone off a cliff, just fallen completely off. And I'm concerned for him. I don't know where or what they're going to do with him. I don't think he knows. There seemingly was a plan when he beat John Cena at WrestleMania. And then since he beat John Cena, it was a cursed victory because they didn't do anything with him. Same with Solo Sikoa. Remember when he beat John Cena and put, 48 Samoan spikes into his neck? And then, John Cena wasn't able to apparently talk, and then he just talked 2 days later. But Solo, and then they ever since then, Solo kind of has been generally on a downward trend, losing to Roman Reigns, disappearing. Fatu has been the bigger star since then. So, you'd hope that after people beat John Cena, one of the biggest names ever in pro wrestling, that there'd be some kind of plan to springboard them from that victory to their next step in their career. And they didn't have any follow-up, clearly. Big follow-up anyway for either of those two men. So yeah, your Raw review. Now, I should have probably included this in my Raw review instead of doing it on the mailbag, but that's because I didn't look at my email. I didn't look at my email prior to, so that's my fault. But you're definitely getting your shot here on the show, your spotlight on this show. I look forward to your Raw review. Yes, shout out to my fellow countryman, Alex the French guy. Take care, Marie. Well, thank you so much, Marie. P.S. Since Matt mentioned being frustrated by not understanding foreign language chants, here's a guide to the chants heard last night. They usually are catchphrases we hear from the French commentary team every week. All right, well, and I totally appreciate this little guide and this little pamphlet you've made me. However, the problem with me is I can't pronounce, you've written down what they say in French. I don't know I know a little Spanish. If this was in Spanish, I'd probably be able to help myself out a little bit, but I can't even pronounce what's here in French to know what the English translation is. Does that make sense? I couldn't say, and I'm not going to I will embarrass myself into oblivion if I try to say one of the things you wrote down. But I will tell you some of the English translations. Only two, that must have hurt, that must sting, that was mean, that wasn't very nice. John Cena, USLUT. The last names of the French commentators that were very dearly missed last night. See, that's how embarrassing it is. I don't even know how to pronounce what you wrote in French. But I appreciate this little key here, because what I'll do the next time it's in France, I'll pull this up and I could probably deduce with the maximum brain power that I have, what they're saying in French with this key. So thank you so much, Marie. I really do appreciate all the effort here. Okay, let's continue. I know we're almost through the voice or the emails here, and then we'll get to the voicemail. Let's go to Warpath from Patreon. Warpath says, I really would like to see the Bianca Belair heel turn. She's so annoying right now with the twirling of her ponytail, skipping like a 10-year-old. I think this should happen before WrestleMania. Her and Io are both babyface, and if the women's world title match is a triple threat, then Rhea is also a babyface. Going to need one of them heel turns. The only choice in my mind is Bianca. Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that she should turn heel for a long time, and WrestleMania is a great place to do that. I don't think she'll turn before that. The fans may do, even if WWE doesn't have plans to turn Bianca at WrestleMania, the fans may organically do it anyway, because while Bianca hasn't been in a singles role in, I think, a couple of years, Io right now is the hot hand. Io is a more underdog, forgotten in terms of those three. The little engine that could. She's undersized, but she's excellent in the ring. Fans are, I think, rooting for Io here, even over Rhea. I will say this. If Io wins, I think that'll satisfy most fans. I mean, I think most fans want Io to retain. Most. A second choice would be Rhea, and I think based on the reaction, I don't think Bianca is the favorite here to win. If she does, that may turn her heel instantly. But I agree. The twirling of the hair, she's 38 years old, or whatever she is. I mean, I'm probably overdoing it. Maybe she is 38. But regardless, she's way too old to be skipping to the ring and twirling her hair. And yeah, I understand that she's trying to placate to the younger audience, but it's inauthentic to me. All right. The best time, or let's see, what did you say? Maybe I misread that. The best time I think this should happen, as far as the heel turn goes, is Friday Night SmackDown before WrestleMania. Jade and Naomi will finally have a match, as just as Jade is ready to pin Naomi. Bianca jumps in, takes out Jade from behind. Both Bianca and Naomi beat down Jade, and there's your turn. Jade will have a program with Naomi and possibly Liv and Raquel. I think Raquel will get involved in the Jade Liv Morgan match on this week's SmackDown. And for Bianca, she'll go on a singles run. Not sure she will win the women's world title at WrestleMania, but could be in a feud with Ripley. I originally thought that Bianca should cut her ponytail and when she turns heel, but after Chamber, I think she should keep it. It's a great weapon for a heel, perfectly legal to use in a match. I don't care how they turn Bianca. Really, it's something I think they should explore. Definitely. Whether or not they want to pull the trigger, I think they're going to leave that to the crowd to decide. Really. Because Bianca got that reaction this past week on Raw. But you got to remember, the international audiences aren't always a perfect indicator of how the rest of the crowds feel. So we'll have to see consistency, especially back in North America, which is their home base, how the crowds consistently react to her. So we'll have to see. All right. And a final email here. We've got Mario P. Mario says, longtime listener. I was wondering how I could get on WrestleMania Night 1 or Night 2 review with you. I remember there used to be a Raw or SmackDown membership tier, but I can't seem to find it. I'm willing to pay a fee to get on the show. It's something I've wanted to do for a while. I have professional audio equipment and speak well, and I've been watching wrestling for 20 years. I'm not too far away in Toronto, and my schedule is flexible to whenever you want to record and don't have a linear job schedule, so that won't be an issue. So Mario, okay. First off, there is a tier on Patreon. It's the Monday Night Raw tier that allows you to come on the show once a month. So you're more than welcome to join that tier. However, I'm not going to sit here and try to paywall people. Yeah, I feel sleazy doing that. Like, oh, you want to come on the show? Give me your money. I do have shame, and I will not go there to say that. It's just a sleazy car salesman thing to say. I will not do that. So Mario, again, you're more than welcome to join us on the Monday Night Raw level, which does afford you that opportunity as well as a lot of others. But what I'm going to do, because Mario, I've had other people reach out and I haven't read those emails here on air. I'm going to kind of put everybody that wants to do it in a folder. I have a subfolder in my email. There are people that have already requested to come on and do reviews for WrestleMania. So I'm not saying no. I'm saying it's possible because I want to sift through other people. I'm going to talk with other people. What I would say, Mario, and to anyone, really anyone that does want to potentially come on and have a WrestleMania conversation, post-Mania review, that kind of thing, send me even a 10 minutes just talking wrestling, any topic you want, the current, past, whatever. So I get an idea of, of your ability and how your sound is. And it's the biggest show of our year. It's the most downloaded show of the year. So it's gotta be good, right? I mean, it'd be silly to not do that. So if anybody wants to join for WrestleMania, please send me a 10 minute, I'd say, clip of talking wrestling, and maybe we can get some of you on the show. All right. Thanks, Mario. All righty. Let's get to, how many voicemails do I have? I might only have one. So let's just do that and we'll wrap things up.
This is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
That's right, folks. Joe Hendry is his name as I take you to my 36th episode of The Judge Report. And like always, coming to you live from an undisclosed location. We have a jam-packed episode for you today, folks. So let's get right into it as we take you back to what happened last week on an episode of TNA Pro Wrestling, as it was announced that Joe Hendry will be defending his TNA World Championship against a mystery opponent. Santina Marella came in to make the announcement as to who his mystery opponent will be, but then he gets interrupted by Ryan Nemeth, and he says, my big brother, will be at TNA Sacrifice. He's talking about Nick Nemeth, aka Dolph Ziggler. But then Ryan Nemeth says that he now has taken his brother's place to be the number one contender to face Joe Hendry for the TNA World Championship. Whatever is that all about, and I don't understand how that actually happened. But anyway, we have this matchup, which lasted only 18 seconds as Joe Hendry did not even break a sweat as he gave the standing ovation chokeslam to Ryan Nemeth, and 1, 2, 3, Joe Hendry successfully retains his championship. But then we get Santina Marella to finally announce who the mystery opponent would be for Joe Hendry, and that is none other than Alex Hammerstone, 6'3", 251 pounds, an absolute beast, a monster of a man, as we had this massive matchup against Joe Hendry for the TNA World Championship, as Joe Hendry defeated Alex Hammerstone in 11 minutes and 58 seconds. This was a tough challenge for Joe Hendry, but he did it with 3 combinations. A massive German suplex to Alex Hammerstone. An attitude adjustment? Was that an attitude adjustment? That's John Cena's move, as Joe Hendry did an attitude adjustment to Alex Hammerstone, followed by the standing ovation chokeslam, and 1, 2, 3, we get Joe Hendry retaining his championship for a second time. So we have Joe Hendry defending his championship twice on an episode of TNA Pro Wrestling. Post-match, we get the members of the System and the Cologne brothers attempting to attack Joe Hendry. Then we get Elijah, we get Leon Slater, and we get the Hardy Boys to make the save to even up the odds as we get ready for TNA Sacrifice that happened this past Friday, live from El Paso, Texas. Now, we take you to TNA Sacrifice in this massive 10-man tag team match inside of a steel cage. The first time that TNA had a steel cage match since 2018. This was the main event, as we had Joe Hendry's team of Joe Hendry, Leon Slater, Matt Hardy, Elijah, and of course, we also had another member that was added to this group. But anyway, we got this matchup which lasted 17 minutes and 2 seconds. We had Elijah coming in on a horse, and he says to the crowd, who wants to ride with Elijah? I love that. That was a nice entrance as he came in on a horse. But it was all for Joe Hendry as he came in to be the final person to be included in this steel cage match. This was kind of similar, I guess you could say, to War Games, as the rules were very similar. It says something like this. We have 2 teams, 5 competitors. After 2 minutes, a new competitor is entered into the cage. And as all of the competitors are in the cage, then the match officially starts. So I like that. It's a nice old school touch with the old school steel cage, minus the siren stuff that, WWE has for Survivor Series with their War Games, but a nice matchup, as this matchup lasted 17 minutes and 2 seconds as Joe Hendry's team gets the victory. But post-match, we get a heel turn. That's right, Nick Nemeth, who was alongside Joe Hendry's team as the 5th member, he turned heel, officially turned heel, as everybody left. As all the baby faces left the cage, we get Ryan Nemeth, we get Nick Nemeth, and we get Matt Hardy as they lock the steel cage doors and proceed to attack Matt Hardy. Joe Hendry was trying to get inside the cage to help out Matt Hardy, but Ryan Nemeth had a steel chair to prevent him from coming inside. What's going on? And we finally get this heel turn, as I guess you could say this was all about family first, as the Nemeth brothers are now working together to take down maybe the Hardy Boys in tag team division. Let's see. But now we continue with Joe Hendry as we get ready for his massive UK tour that will be happening very, very soon. And it's in collaboration with Sweet Chin Disco Music. And we have none other than DJ Mark Henry that will be alongside Joe Hendry, as they have a couple of shows starting this Friday, March 21st. And of course, we have them in Manchester, followed by Nottingham on March 23rd. And remember this date, folks, March 24th in Glasgow, Scotland. Joe Hendry will also be in Scotland. Maybe he might be on an episode of Monday Night Raw, but I also must mention that this is a live in-person concert. So if you're in Scotland, you got to go check it out. If you're in Manchester, you got to go check him out. And if you're in Nottingham, you got to go check him out. Joe Hendry and DJ Mark Henry in collaboration with Sweet Chin Disco Music and the UK tour, as they're on the road to WrestleMania 41. Now, last and certainly not least, I must mention this could possibly be Joe Hendry making an appearance on Monday Night Raw. This past Monday Night Raw, it was announced that main event Jey Uso will be in a tag team match against A-Town Down Under, but main event Jey Uso is going to be tag teaming with a mystery tag team partner. Who could it be? It could possibly be Joe Hendry. And it's kind of odd that Joe Hendry put out a post on X stating that, say his name. Is there a possibility that we could have main event Jey Uso and the hometown boy Joe Hendry in Glasgow, Scotland for the next episode of Monday Night Raw as they go up against A-Town Down Under? It is a possibility, my friends. But anyway, as we close off this episode of the Joe Hendry Report, always remember to believe, say his name and he appears. Always remember the words that Joe Hendry says, anytime, any place, at any show. And most importantly, as we're on the road to WrestleMania 41, always remember to do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe and peace.
DJ, thanks for keeping us updated here with the goings on over there in TNA and how it really applies to WWE, given the strong relationship now, the unprecedented relationship between these two promotions. And it sounds like we could see your boy on Monday Night Raw teaming with Jey Uso. It's all the stars are aligning here. Somebody just needs to do the one thing that allows him to be there, and somebody needs to say his name. Please. It's on WWE now to just say his name. Because we've been informed many times that all it requires us to do is say his name. So we're putting that to the test, and I really do hope for you and for everybody. I mean, all wrestling fans. You heard the pop at Royal Rumble. It was deafening, and so I think for Joe Hendry and for the future of his career, It'd be a great time for him to get even more exposure to the main roster. It may not be his official debut on the main roster, but it's an opportunity right there for the take, and it's low-hanging fruit. I think they'll do it. But thank you for the updates. Nick Nemeth turning heel. Matt Hardy's still involved, which is kind of incredible given how long he's been wrestling. But thank you. Thank you to everybody for calling in, or for, DJ calling in, everybody else emailing. You can join us on the call-in side of things with the number that's in the description notes of this podcast. And if you want to send us an email, you can do that at mailbag@wwepodcast.com, or go to Patreon and become a patron and send us a message directly through their internal system, and you get priority placement in the show. So patreon.com/WWE podcast, everything ad-free. Thank you, everybody. I'll be back on Sunday with your week in review. Until then, take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.